Welcome back, part 2, Sheffield Live TV. It's Talking Sheffield Sport. We've got Matt Prestridge, the Sheffield United Sports Science Head, or as I call him, Fitness Chief, but he's actually a fully qualified coach, takes part in a whole load of stuff at Bramall Lane. Highly influential figure, number 3 in the pecking order, really, to Chris Wilder and Alan Neil at Bramall Lane. Nobody's going to complain about that, are they? Nobody's going to, when you go back to work tomorrow.
Number 3, who's that?
Yeah. Surrounded by sort of gingery blonde guys of a similar age tonight. So
yeah, I'll take that. Yeah.
Yeah.
A similar age as well.
Average age of the
show just comes. Right, yeah, it's come clambering down
to about 70. James, you're going to bring around a treat for basketball fans.
Absolutely, absolutely. If you've not seen it, and whether you know, I'm not a massive basketball fan myself. If you've not seen the clip we're going to play to you in a little while, it's well worth a watch. So do stick around for that.
I've seen it today. Sheffield Sharks. What a fantastic score. Dunk, I think they call it.
It's fantastic.
To use his technicality, it's absolutely brilliant. You've been playing today, Matt. Yeah. You came in looking a little bit hot and sweaty from a Staff 5-a-side game. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what. I mean, that might have been my normal complexion, that, Alan. To be honest,
right,
but, yeah.
Okay.
But
there's no sun to make your first
I don't need much.
Yeah.
No, we have. Yeah, but this our second time playing in the last couple of weeks. It's not something we've done really, but it's the last couple of weeks really. We've had a few games. We got Paul Mitchell involved.
Really?
Involved today. I think he put his boots on for the first time. I think he said it was 7 years. I think.
Did he scout any of you? Did he think?
Yeah, he was. You could tell he is thinking. Genuinely, he is thinking about every single person on the pitch about what. Yeah, I promise you, because he's like, and he's great, Mitch. He's great.
And I bet he was the most mobile player on the field.
Yeah, he can still move. And there was a few. I think a few of his tackles were maybe a little bit. They were a bit old school. I think.
Yeah, a bit late.
A little bit late. But no, it's great fun, and we've got a very tight knit staff, and probably as tight knit as I've ever worked with, and it's just something we've started doing on a Thursday that. If we can just get Alan and Chris involved, I think.
They don't play.
They've not played yet. I mean, they've got other, obviously. With January,
they've been busy.
Yeah,
you've done all that now.
Yeah, well, that's why I think that's why we've just managed to get Mitch in. He gave us half an hour of his time, but I think it might just become a bit too competitive if Chris and Alan
head of recruitment, head scout, has got the cigar on January what are we today, 17th or something like that.
No, to be fair, he's still working his socks off. He's been at games. He does a lot of miles, does Mitch? So. He's still going.
You've done exceptionally well to get players in so quickly.
Yeah.
How involved? Are you consulted about targets from your perspective?
Yeah, it's not something that I take any responsibility for or credit for or anything like that. It's very much Chris and Mitch, and Alan, of course, working with Carl Sheba. But it's something that as a staff really we'll all have an input on, Darren Ward, myself, the medical staff, and obviously you go through that process really where a player gets identified, and that's very much Mitch, Chris, and Alan, and then everything else comes into play about what is the character like, and we might know someone that knows the player, or you might have worked with the player before. What's their medical history like? So you have to take all these factors in.
Medical history is big for you. Yeah, you don't want to bring in somebody who's got an injury record of lots of injuries.
And, what's Ricky Holmes's injury record?
No, he's played. Well, we obviously go off that, but you tend to know about how many games have they played, because if you get any footballer in a medical or sat in a room, you can find something wrong with them, because they put their bodies through so much stress. That if you want to find a reason to not sign someone, you can probably find it, to be honest. But it's about how they play, how many games have they played the last few years, and have they got a good track record, and do the references you get back from them medically, are they good, and then obviously the physios have a look at them as well. They'll do hands-on testing, and we get an analysis of what they're like, and you weigh everything up, and some people you maybe take more of a, not risk, because everything's calculated, but you trust yourselves as well to work with players and make them better from that side of it as well, which I think great credit to the medical staff and people like Lee Rickards. I think they've done exactly that really with a lot of players.
You've got players of similar age coming in as well. Ryan Leonard, Lee Evans, James Wilson. James Wilson's only 22, I think. The other two guys are 23 to 25.
Yeah.
Deliberate policy. Ricky Holmes is a bit older than that, I think.
Yeah.
But deliberate policy to get players of that age.
I mean, really, I think that'd be mainly a question for the manager. It's really you're trying to bring good footballers into the club, and I think of course you take all these factors in. You do take age as a factor, and of course if you can sign players of a good age that have got plenty in the tank, then brilliant. But we've signed players that are experienced players as well, and they've been great with us.
Now, I must ask you before the end of the show. I've got a big ring round the name of Leon Clarke, and any light you can shed on this phenomenal season that he's having. A revelationary season in the eyes of many that have followed his career, including me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you that Leon Clarke question. Before I go to James, though, Paul Coots, we look. I mean, Keelan Lavery's now fit again to be on the field after that sickening.
Yeah, Lavery's been fit. He's been fit for a while now, and he's been training well. He's had a couple of little bits and pieces. But
fracture of the eye.
Yeah, again, that was another one. I think that was the Derby game, and again, an injury you can do nothing about, but a really nasty one that sets you back for a while. But he's okay as Keelan. So.
And Paul Coots, obviously, anybody who saw that game, that sickening broken leg in a couple of places, a few years ago, you'd have been saying a year or two out and possibly even a career finish, would you, for something like that?
Yeah. No, I mean, I think. With Paul's one, he was, you can't say fortunate, but I think the type of break it was a clean break, so there wasn't perhaps as much damage as there could have been. But yeah, it was a really hard one for us to take as a group, and for Paul himself, because he'd been playing so well and he'd had such a good year and a half for us, and he's one of those that the manager sets the standards in training. People like Paul, they'd live it. They'd live that, and Paul was one of our best trainers, and I know some of the stuff that maybe got thrown at him before, we came into the football club about, maybe not working as hard as he. The Paul Coots that I've known from day one really wants to train and trains very hard, and he's one of our best trainers, and he's been a real miss for us. He's not a million miles away, and he's feeling healthy again, and he's still on crutches. But
how can you quantify? You say not a million miles.
Yeah, compared to how that injury could have been. Yeah. He's got something to aim for, and he's.
In terms of this season.
I wouldn't say. I mean, again, these things you don't want to put a timescale on anything now, because it's still, he's still got plenty of work to do before you maybe can put an exact.
But it's not impossible.
I wouldn't say it's impossible. I mean, really, it's what's right for Paul, and because we want him to come back and be himself as well. We don't want to rush him back or anything like that. And he's still got a fair old road ahead of him, but he's feeling healthy again now. So
good. And the reference you made, I'd add to that. He's obviously shown great mentality. To bring his career around from the status he was at with supporters to the revered status that he became. It takes a strong mentality. To do that.
And he'll show that in his rehab as well. That's the thing with Paul, is that if he could be back next week and he had to go through hell in a week to do it, he would. So yeah.
Great stuff. Well, we wish him well, and we'll come back to you, Matt, very shortly after James.
We will do. We're going to talk about the Blades to start things off. A trip to Norwich on Saturday. They actually played 120 minutes last night to lose on penalties at Premier League champions Chelsea. Yeah, I know. I was going to ask you that. Does that will that have an impact? Because I've seen on a lot of the message boards and things, people going, "Oh, it's great this for us," and I'm thinking, well, the professional footballers. Yeah. Well, does it?
I smiled when the goal went in, and if I'm being honest, which I was, because any edge you can get, you're looking to get. So, but at the same time, like I said, they're professionals, and they'll have 2 full days of you know, I'm sure they'll be doing every recovery trick they can in the book.
Yeah.
So
It was an interesting game at Bramall Lane, wasn't it?
Yeah.
United lost that 1-0, and
It was.
It was very.
There was a bit of time wasted.
It was. Norwich aiming to do the double then, and well, I hope the Blades bus arrives on time to Carrow Road as well. Of course,
it might be mentioned by the manager if it doesn't.
I think it might be, yes. So I hope the bus driver does set off that 15 minutes earlier that Chris Wilder suggested. Owls, after their winning the FA Cup in midweek, well, done deal this evening, just before we came on air. Joey Pelupessy, I think that's right.
Joey Pelupessy.
Yeah, he's
from a Dutch club.
Yeah, Heracles it is. Yeah,
midfield player, anchorman, midfield type. Anyway,
absolutely.
Beyond that, we know nothing.
Absolutely. Well, we might see him in action this weekend at home to Cardiff City. Are the Owls this weekend? 5:30 kickoff on the TV against Neil Warnock, of course. He has a knack of getting a result at Hillsborough, doesn't he?
I think he was asked, the new Wednesday manager, Jos Luhukay, was asked today if he'd heard of Neil Warnock before he came to England, and he just went, no. Never heard of him. That's brilliant to wind Neil up.
It is, yeah, that will wind Neil up, certainly, yeah.
Neil will be looking forward to his reception, as usual. Making sure that, he takes his time getting off the Cardiff coach, so he's the last one off, so everybody's baying for his blood. He'll enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Don't disappoint him. Whatever you do.
Come on then. So that'll be a good one. In non-league though, Sheffield FC. Well, if you do fancy a trip from the coach and horses before going down to Hillsborough for that late kick-off, you can do, because Sheffield FC they're playing against Worsborough this weekend in Dronfield. Love to see them reach the playoffs. This season, after a really sort of rubbish start to the season, wasn't it really? Sheffield United community ladies as well, flying under Carla Ward, 5-2 winners over Solihull and unbeaten in the Women's Premier League since October, so good stuff from the ladies. In Rugby Union, Sheffield Rugby Union Football Club, they lost last weekend to table toppers Sale. In National 2 North. They've got Wharfdale away this weekend. Tigers, meanwhile, I said last week they won 5 in a row. Now they've lost 6 in a row. Well, that's now 7 in a row that they've lost. Mid-table still. They're at home to Hinckley this weekend at Dormoor. That's weather permitting, of course, if this snow and rain keeps away from there. In the end, the Sheffield Steelers, we said that they were in the Continental Cup in Europe, an adventure that they'd never experienced before last weekend. Well, a 5-1 defeat in the opening night to Nomad Astana. Astana, a team that you might recognise from the Kazakhstan sort of Premier League. No, of course.
Really.
No, playing the Champions League. Yeah, of course.
I've heard the name,
I think Man United beat them last year in the Europa League.
Okay.
They put them in a tough position, actually, the Steelers. They bounced back, something they managed to achieve in the previous round in Denmark, but the Belarusian capital, it was a little bit too much. It was a step too far for them. Back in English domestic action this weekend, Guildford are the visitors to the arena. Some tickets left as well for that one. Now to basketball. So we teased ahead to this one. Yeah. I made a quip last week about there being an important football match on Friday night, and they probably weren't going to get many spectators down at the EIS to
watch what you said.
The Sharks against the Surrey Scorchers. Well, I think that Dirk Williams from the Sheffield Sharks may have heard me. Have a look at this.
And it does. There's Rublicki, and they need to get over the court quickly. Oh my goodness me! What a play that was! And it does. There's
what an incrable play that was, wasn't
amazing.
It? Absolutely stunning. So
terrific.
So Dirk Williams, he actually, I mean, he just, as you saw there, ran full length of the court and then slam dunks it. As a little man, 5'8" or whatever,
how
that's
did he
been
get
generous.
up there?
I can only dream of doing that. Yeah, incredible. Well, it was a good week for him because he actually got 26 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, 3 steals and 0 turnovers. That was enough to get him into the weekly All-Star team in the BBL League, as well as Tony Wobrickley as well, who scored 22 points himself. So 2 Sharks players in the All-Star team from last week. So if that's a bit of a teaser for you, get yourself down to the EIS. Not this week. They're actually away this week to Newcastle Eagles. Bit of a shame. But next week they play against Manchester at the EIS. 7:30 tip-off at the EIS. So loads of tickets left for that as well. And we'll finish off with a bit of golf. Matt Fitzpatrick, he's tied 8th after an opening 4-under round to open up his European Tour season. Stella Field, Rory McIlroy, Dustin Johnson, etc. all playing. And if he wins this week, he can bring the trophy in, can't he?
There's more chance of seeing the trophy here than there is of Matt Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I think there is, you're right.
I wouldn't be surprised to see the trophy, but if he's there with it,
exactly.
I'd be amazed. I'll give you that 20 quid that we had a bet on.
Come on, Matt, get yourself in. I know you are.
Right. Leon Clarke. It's circled down here on this. You know, I wish we could get through everything that I write down on there. You know, such an interesting guest, Matt Prestridge here. Look, 15 goals this season. He's been leading the goal charts in the Championship. We've all known for years that he could score. Yeah. He's scored nearly everywhere he's been. But he's never played this consistently well and with this intensity for anybody. What, you know, Chris Wilder's been asked about it. I might as well ask you. Yeah. What's the secret from your perspective?
I mean, Leon deserves, you know, a massive amount of credit for that. Really, that, you know, no one can force him to work hard, and no, you know, the intensity he plays at. So Leon deserves. You know, I've got a massive amount of respect for Leon and the way, you know, the way he's trained since he's been with us, and the way he's got on with his business, and ultimately this season, you know, the way back end of last season, and then this season the way he's performed. He was a little bit unlucky when he first came to us. He got a kick in one of the games against Rochdale, and it set him back a little bit. He tried to play through the pain barrier for us, and it took a little time to settle down. But you know, credit to Leon. He's bought into everything that the manager demands about working hard and, you know, fitting in with the group, and he's, I think, Chris and Alan have worked quite hard to push Leon, you know, down a sort of leadership angle, and you know, he's obviously captained us this season, and I think they've you know, they've both tried to get that out of him, really, to not only, you know, contribute himself, but to give more to others as well, and I think that sometimes adds something to your game, that when, you know, maybe you're not always thinking about number one, you go and play for your team and you go and work hard for your team, and I think, you know, Leon's done that, and we hope, you know, if he can get another 15 goals for us, then brilliant. But his contribution this season has been great, and
it's a little psychological ploy that's worked very, very well. I mean, you haven't done it just because it'll spark him, because he is a bit of a leader. And people have been surprised that he's outgoing in the dressing room, because he's always given the impression of not being outgoing to the likes of us, for instance.
Yeah, and I think, you know, that's the manager's philosophy, and that's Alan, you know, Alan Neil. That's the kind of people they are, and they don't let people settle. They don't let people become comfortable, or, you know, it's about better. And Alan's great for that. He's a terrific coach at making players better and adding things to their game. And he knew Leon really well before we signed him. You know, I think he saw something in him that to be honest, a lot of people and clubs didn't.
That's the thing. It's so many. He's had so many clubs and stuff. And you know, I've always sort of seen him score goals at Bramall Lane and stuff for other teams. And I always thought, why has no one sort of had this approach with him before? Is that a testament to kind of Chris Wilder's man management? Is it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's testament to Chris and to Alan and you know, and to the staff as well that work with him, you know, on a day-to-day basis and try and get every bit out of him, and of course Leon himself. But you know, I think when you sort of look at the squad, you know, Mark Duffy was you know, someone as well that signed who you know, maybe people thought for the Championship anyway was someone that can do it, and I think Mark has had a great season so far, and he's you know, he's someone you look to and you forget that he's, you know, 30, 31, and he plays like a 23-year-old sometimes. So absolutely. And again, that's, you know, that's him buying into what the manager demands, and that's Alan, you know, improving his game, because Mark, I think Duffy's someone like that he you know, he listens to Alan. He goes in and does a lot of work with him on the big screen. We've got, you know, a lot of clips and a lot of analysis and things like that. You know, can make a big difference. So, you know, I think it's down to the players really buying into the environment and you know, making the most of it. And you know, it's. I think it's great, because why wouldn't you make the most of your career, and why wouldn't you? Yeah,
it's amazing that some players do fritter it away, and it's such a short one as well.
Yeah, and they you know, they both deserve.
I think, you know, Matt, when he's finished his career as a head of sports science, is going to get some boots on and play, because he's only 26. So I reckon he's doing it the other way around.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I reckon you're going to end up as a player when you're about 28.
I've said that to Ricky Holmes recently, that he's doing his career the wrong way round, because I think he was playing Sunday League when he was 19, 20. He'll play for England when he's 40. So
if that's good.
Yeah.
Your match day role. You're there. You go to every game. You're not a sponge man. You're there focused on you know, the team's performance, aren't you? Rather than who's getting injured and what have you. So what specifically is your role down there on match day? And how much are you in the ear of the manager?
Yeah, well, again, that's something that's changed a lot. I mean, I've always been, and I really, that if Chris didn't want me to say anything or didn't didn't feel that it was appropriate, then I wouldn't, you know, because match day is so intense. It's intense in the dressing room, and it's so intense, you know, out in the dugout and on the pitch. It really can, especially coming up to this league and the fact that every crowd we go to, you know, it seems to start with a 2. You know, again, Norwich, there'll be 24, 25,000 there on Saturday, and you know, that can be really intense on the touchline. So really, when I first started working for Chris, it was just do the warm up before, and then you know, that's your bit. Sit and watch a game and make sure everyone's ready to come on. And as it's evolved, you know, if Chris feels you know, I have my say, and you know, we talk through substitutions, and you know, we try and do what we think's best, and
so you'll have an input on an opinion.
Yeah, we don't. You know, and we've got set plays to look after as well, and everything that comes with that. And you just, to be honest, you're just at the point where everyone's trying to do as much as they can to try and win the football game, and to try and you know. Right. So you're trying to flag any little thing you see, or
it's fascinating.
You know,
it is.
Do you feel like you're
I'm going to have to get into? Sorry,
go for it.
Quick question. I'm going to have to get into.
I was going to say,
Harry Maguire.
Do you feel comfortable with doing that then? Yeah, with Chris, because that doesn't just come instantly, does it?
No, and then that's just the relationship you develop, you know. And there's times where, you know, I'll say something and the manager's probably thinking in his head, shut up.
Shut up.
You know, but and then there's something you say where you know, he might think, yeah, okay. So you're just trying to support Chris and support Alan, and to be honest, you know, they don't really need it because they've been in the game so long. But you're just going through a process of, you're just trying to win the football match and do whatever. Everyone's trying to do whatever. Yeah.
So listen to this. You'll know this guy. This is a precursor to a big show that's coming on Sheffield Live TV tomorrow night.
Are you telling me you never wore a Sheffield Wednesday kit, even as a young child?
I can't remember.
He did. He did.
He's got the full ones at home, and I like that. Yeah. Well, at least you went in the right path in the end, anyway.
Yeah, that's what I'd say.
That's right. Yeah, from there.
As a Sheffield United fan, you would say that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, massive, to be fair. Yeah. So from there, obviously, you're at Sheffield United. You're at 11-year-old, and then what happened from there? Did you just progress through the ranks at the club?
Yeah, at Sheffield United, I just kept staying there year after year. Obviously, good commitment from my parents to keep taking me. Long journeys on Sunday mornings for my dad, away at Newcastle, having to get up bright and early when they've been on an heavy session on the Saturday night. It's always not that easy. But
not much conversation in car then?
No, not much conversation at all. Just the windows down.
So he's not sick.
But no, obviously just stayed on there, and then managed to get a scholarship at 16 years old, and that's when it started realising that you've got to try and make sacrifices and work hard to become a professional footballer.
So it turns out he was never a fan of Sheffield Wednesday. So he says. There's Harry Maguire and plenty more from Harry. I'm looking forward to joining those guys as well, with Anas Mohammed and Stephen Nicholas on a special programme on Sheffield Live TV tomorrow night with an England defender, formerly of Sheffield United, from where we've been delighted to welcome Matt Prestridge this evening. It's been a fascinating chat with you. James, thank you very much indeed. It's all repeated at 11 p.m. tonight. Well worth a watch if you missed, or it's on my YouTube channel. See you next week. Bye.